All right. Welcome into Toilets to Titles. This is episode number 144. This is week number 4 of the NFL season and of the fantasy football season, and I'm back. Last week, I took a little bit of a hiatus. I went on vacation to California. I brought my computer with me. My computer never recovered from the jet lag, and I had to get a new computer. My computer crapped out. Long story short, got it all set up. So I am back on the airwaves, ready to discuss with you this evening, week 4 of the fantasy football season. Justin's a little bogged down right now, if you could see him, because we have a big to-do going on this evening, all right? We have our Frankenstein League. We finally, if you've been listening at home, and if you haven't been listening at home, you'll find out. I'm not going to explain the Frankenstein League every single episode at this point. Go back and listen to some of our old episodes. And if you're listening, chances are you know what the heck it is anyway. Right. So there's a playable card. It's called the Leprechaun card. Justin's got the wheel pulled up. And Justin, how we doing? Discuss the Leprechaun card and discuss how we're gonna do this thing, man.
Hey, you know what? I was a little bit shook tonight. Not gonna lie. I've had a little bit of a rough evening. My son, senior year tennis. Tonight was his last home match of his senior year. So definitely need something like this to get my mind back in the NFL game here. So this is going to be a lot of fun with the wheel right out the gate. But after that, guys, stick around. It's more than just this wheel, because we have a pretty good show lined up for tonight.
Yes, and this is the only card that is played on air. So a lot of the cards they all have a deadline, and they all affect the results, of your game or of who you can steal, because it's a vampire style league. This is the only card that is alive. You don't know when you pull the card, when you draft it. You don't know what it's going to do for you. And it's going to be different for everybody. And this is the first time we're playing this card. And this card we are playing, Dirty Jobs played it. Mike D, who's also Pennywise in the Frankenstein League. And there's a gentleman agreement between Uncle Steve, and Dirty Jobs. Dirty Jobs told him he'd play him this week. He'd play the card this week, and he's playing Uncle Steve. So, Justin, we ready to spin the wheel or what?
Yeah, let's do this. All right, so I have the wheel pulled up here. You can see it there. If you're not watching on YouTube, this is another great reason for you to go and subscribe on YouTube, along with all of the other formats that we have. We've got Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Twitch. When a Family Breaks is our Facebook page. Go and check all of that out for us. But please make sure that you hit that like and that subscribe, hit that notification button. You see all that scrolling down there at the bottom, guys. We appreciate your support. Steve is a Patreon member. We're going to get to that in just a moment. But that's why I'm super glad that Steve gets to be involved with this as well. So here's how the Leprechaun card works. There are 20 different items on this wheel. Each different wedge has an item on it. These items, there are several things that are good for the guy that played it, which is Pennywise, Dirty Jobs, and several things that are bad for him as well, which also means that it could be good or bad for Funkle Steve. Should I read down all 20 of these, since we've never actually broken that down? Or
why don't you read 2 or 3 of them, and then hopefully one of the ones we get isn't one of the ones you read, and they'll get more experience that way.
There you go. So one of them that you could get is immunity from having a player stolen this week. So Dirty Jobs could get that. Uncle Steve could get that. There's also one that says that you cannot make any free agent moves if you're Dirty Jobs this week or next week. There's another one that says that your opponent has to start the same lineup that they did last week, minus any of the players that they lost in the forced trade area of the Frankenstein League. But my personal favorite, and the one that I really hope that Dirty Jobs gets here, is the one where you have to spin the wheel twice and take the fate of both of them. So that's the one I'm really kind of pulling for here.
Now, what would happen if he hits that and then he hit that again?
Well, once it's hit, I clear it off the board.
Okay, too bad. That's just how my crazy brain works.
That is too bad. I really probably should have considered that. And for next year.
Next year, multiplier.
Also, maybe for next year too, we do like four wedges that say that.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. Well, I think that it's only fair that we shuffle this thing up 3 times. So here we go.
I have an idea. Wait.
Oh, okay. All right.
What if there's 2 wedges, and on the wedges we can put the other people who have the Leprechaun card, so they're tied into it. And if it lands on them, they have to play the Leprechaun card next week.
Ooh, yeah. Well, I don't know because I don't want to deter people from using the Leprechaun card. Here it is, week 4, and this is the first time we've used it, and I think there's only
Sure.
one other guy that even has it. So I
Yeah,
kind of
but
want
but the
more
people
people.
the people the people who pick this card are wild cards anyway. So I think they'll like that. It'll make it a
That's
little
fair.
exciting.
That's fair. I'm shocked that George doesn't have one.
Yes.
All right. All right. Are we ready to shuffle? All
Oh yeah.
right. I'm going to shuffle 3 times. Here's 1, here's 2, and here's 3. All right. Dirty Jobs, if you have any final words, you want to put those in the chat right now because I'm spinning. Here we go. Ooh, I think it's a good one for Dirty Jobs. You get to start your optimal best lineup after the week 4 games are done. Wow.
Dang.
That is huge.
That is.
That is
Man,
huge.
so he could go up and pick a few, like, if he has any guys on the IR that are on his bench, probably want to drop them and pick up as many active players as possible to get different more
Yeah.
opportunities to score points.
Yeah, and man, I'll be honest with you. Like, all he really has to do is start a legal lineup, and he's probably got this wrapped up because, like I said, it doesn't matter if they're good or bad because his bench will automatically get to be his starters if they outscored him. So
Man,
yeah, that's insane.
best
So
case scenario.
yeah, for him it is, but for Uncle Steve, I bet he's kind of wishing he hadn't called him out now
Uh-huh.
on the
Uncle
show.
Steve's gonna come to us with the rule book. Be like, he's gonna be, well, it says that this, that, and the other thing, and he's gonna find a loophole to get through it. Uh-huh.
Yep.
He's very political.
Yeah, and Uncle Steve already played his card, so it's not like he can try to go that route. Like I've been doing every week with the Slimer Ghostbuster card and
Yes.
DMing my opponent every week to remind them, hey, I've got the Ghostbuster.
Yeah,
Just in
don't do
case.
it. Don't do it. Uh-huh. Hell yeah. And I do want to, so we're gonna get going with the rest of the episode. And your wife said, "Shut up, Steve." Very funny. Shut up, Steve. From Lori. That's not from me. I can't say because he's a Patreon. I can't tell him to shut up. He'll leave. I do
Well,
want to give a shout out to Nino for picking up for me last week. Man, he did a great job. Both of you guys crushed it. Nino and Justin. I know you really don't care too much to go back and listen to the week 3 episode if because it's in the past, but I thought it was a great episode. You have some time and you haven't listened to it. I would suggest you go back and listen to it because there was some excellent debate between Justin and Nino. Go ahead, Justin.
and not only that, but if it's because you can't get enough Nino, all you got to do is just stick around. He'll be on right after us with a
Oh
live
yeah.
show for this week.
Yes. So head to head IDP, they're going to be going on at 9 o'clock with Russ, with Jared. Tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. I'm sorry, tomorrow morning. I always get this every week. One week I'll get this correct. Tomorrow morning, 6:30 a.m. We have the Down Under Dynasty crew. We got Joe Knows at 8 p.m. and then 10:30 p.m. We got Dollars to Deuces, which is our gambling show. So Wednesdays are stockpile. Thursday we got nothing going on. Friday night, 7 p.m. We got the new show. TGIF. This guy is fragile. That's Justin, and that's we also got George on there. But George, there might be somebody coming in from the bullpen because some of our friends down in Florida are going to be dealing with some issues. And anybody who is down there in the area, we hope you stay safe. We're thinking about you, and clearly, this stuff is just fictional and just stuff where we enjoy talking about and just fun stuff. But that's real life stuff, and we know it can get dangerous. And we are thinking about you, and we do have a lot of friends down there. A lot of guys from Toilets to Titles are going to be in the area where it's going to be affected. So we hope for the best, and
sure.
We'll be thinking about you guys. But how did that episode go last week, TGIF?
I tell you what, man, it was a lot of fun. It wasn't. Well, I was gonna say it wasn't really what I expected, but honestly, it kind of was. The only real thing that I've got to try to effort. George kind of stepped up his game, and he had the full on doctor's garb, like if you were at a family doctor's office, the tie and everything. And I'm kind of the nurse of the show because that just pretty much means he kind of calls the shots, but then I fix all his mistakes. So that's kind of what the nurses do. They do all the work. So
calls all the shots. Was there a pun intended on that or no?
No pun. He's the doctor, so he gets to call the shots. He's the head guy on that show, but I'm just the one that does all the work because I'm the nurse.
So he calls the shots, and then you give the shots.
Oh, there you go. I didn't mean for the pun, but I see what you mean now. So
Yeah.
I need to step up my game and come up with something to wear for before
He looked like Dr. Mario.
He
So
did. He
what
did.
you need to do is you need to be Wario.
Wario.
Yeah, that would fit. You get the lightning bolt mustache.
All right. No. I'll just get a nurse. You're right though. He looked like Dr. Mario. That's
He did. I
hold on.
did. He did. I tuned in from my phone. I thought it was very funny. But I mean, Friday night being able to tune in and catch up, dude. Life is busy, man. I speak for myself and a lot of the guys, that I talk to. We all got a lot of stuff going on, and it's hard for me personally to keep track of all these injuries. I don't have as much time as I used to have, where I could just sit in front of a computer. And if you do have that time to keep track of all this stuff, God bless you. I don't. So by the time Sunday rolls around, I'm frantic. But having a show like this on Friday night that I can listen to, and it doesn't just have to be Friday. It's on, you can listen on Podbean, you can listen on Apple Podcasts. Justin is afraid of needles. So that's why he didn't like the joke, Lori. Yeah, that's why he didn't like the joke. But you can listen to it on all of our audio platforms as well as our video platform and get caught up on all the injuries. So you can set those lineups. So you can go into Sunday with a little idea of what's going on. After that show, P2P from the pots to the playoffs, and we got Boomer and DDP. Saturday, we got Dash of DFS at 9 p.m. And then Sunday morning's the Blitz. And the Blitz is probably our biggest show right now. It gets like 100 to 150 views every weekend. And they go live at 10:30 a.m. And this weekend, again, it might be a little bit of a different crew because a lot of the guys down there, Jared, George, Joe, they're all going to be affected by the storm. Hopefully not too much. But if they are, we'll call in some relievers. And that show is driven by you. You ask start sit questions. We answer them. And we hope that, we make some good decisions. We win some fantasy games. I can't believe we're already going into week 4. This is bananas. Scott Fishbowl, let's get a little update. How are you doing in Scott Fishbowl?
Evidently, I'm doing pretty well, which is kind of surprising. I did not have the best draft.
Stop it. Don't be humble right now, man. Do not be humble.
I was even telling you earlier, I don't really like my team, but I think I've just gotten really lucky because we did. I did the podathon draft, so our draft was one of the live drafts, and we did it like really fast. It was like a quick draft. It was even timed. So our entire Scott Fishbowl draft was done in like an hour and a half, while we were doing the competition for my main home league redraft to determine draft order. So I was bowling at the time. I even missed one of my picks and got the DeAndre Hopkins way too early. So I've got him sitting on my bench. So right now I'm sitting at 5-1, and I did lose this week, and I believe I was one of the high scorers. So I just ran up against a really tough team, and they're playing a lot better than I thought they would. So I'm happy with it. It is, it's better than I anticipated. So,
well, you're ranked out of 3,000 people, 600 something.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, and I'm ranked 311. So we're both in the top 1,000. We're in the top and I'll take that too, because I don't know how long that'll last. So I'm not going to be humble because I don't know if this opportunity to be humble might be gone next week. So 311 out of 3,000, top 1/10. And I actually lost a friend of the show this week, Josh Crocker. And I too had a high score, but his score was higher than me. But I'm 5-1 because the way this works is you play against your opponent, and then you also play against the average score of the week. So you get a shot at 2 wins every week. Or in this instance, me and you, we both got a win and a loss, which is excellent because I'm in second in the Neverland division, second highest scoring. And Dobbins came back for me. So I'm actually rolling with 2 kickers. I've been rolling with Suckup and Matt Gay, and that's been working for me. Kyle Pitts is finally bouncing back. Once Dalton Schultz get healthy again, him and Pitts are good, I should roll. Jalen Hurts and Mahomes are carrying me. Jalen Waddle, who I beat the drum for all off seasons, crushing it for me. Nick Chubb, another cat I beat the drum for, but I do need an RB2. I got Jeff Wilson, J.K. Dobbins, James Cook. If I'm really going to stay at the top, one of those guys needs to become a real legitimate running back. And I don't know if it's going to be Dobbins. I don't know if it's going to be Cook. I don't know if I can count on Wilson that long, or maybe Pacheco or Spiller, but I'm not going to last unless one of those guys steps up.
Yeah. So you mentioned both of us were in the top 1,000 or whatever, but we actually have 5 guys on the team. I'm reading this thing that you shared earlier in the group chat. We got Jason Watson. He's ranked 177. You at
Huge.
331. Yeah, I mean, unbelievable.
That's
You at
huge, dude. And
331.
he's doing it. He's doing it from space. Jason's doing it from a rocket.
Yeah,
He's barely got any internet.
yeah. And also speaking of barely having any internet, George is in fifth in our group. He's in the top 1,000. He never has the internet.
That's
He's
true.
at 762.
You know what they
Myself
do?
at 681.
You know
What's
what
that?
George and Jason do? They have 2 cups attached to strings, and they just
Yeah, yeah,
communicate that way.
yep. And then Andrew Campy, our boy Andrew Campy, our IT guy, is at 455. So 5 of us in the top 1,000. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah,
I
one
like
of us
I
needs to
think
finish
we're
top 100.
representing the brand well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
one of us needs to finish top 100. It has to happen.
it will.
Right
It'll
now, it
happen.
looks like Jason's
I
that
have
guy.
faith in you. I have faith in you
Yeah,
and Jason. You got this.
one of us will have to champion for the team, but you never know. I mean, everyone else is pretty close. All it takes is a few huge weeks, and it's still very early on. Regardless, let's move on. But I do want to let everybody know, whoever you're listening to us, you could check out our Apple Podcasts. Throw us a 5-star review. If you want to get into Frankenstein next year, you hear us talking about it every week. That's the easiest way to get in. Throw us a 5-star review. You want to get in for free, which is a $25 value. Throw us a really funny or really good. Just say how cool Coach Sheps is or how cool Justin is. Really gas us up, and we'll get you in there. Speaking of Apple reviews, Justin, you got a 5-star review to read out this week?
Yes, I do actually. This week's review comes from @Joe's_talk. He says, "Great podcast, a must listen. It's professionally done with high quality sports content. A must listen for all your fantasy football needs." Again, that is @Joe's_talk.
Here's a question. So Joe's talk. Is it A, Joe talking? So it's like this is Joe's talk, or is it B, multiple Joes talking?
Yeah, in my mind it was multiple Joes. Like
Yeah.
they have a podcast where
Yeah.
this guy named Joe just went and found 2 more Joes,
Yes.
and they sit around this little miniature table and they talk to each other,
Yeah.
and it probably starts off with football, but then it always ends up talking about, sloppy Joes or Joe
Yeah.
Montana's or
Yeah.
anything called Joe.
Joe's talking about Joe. Coffee, lots of coffee. They're
Yeah, yeah,
sponsored.
there's
They're definitely sponsored by Java
Starbucks
for
and
sure. So, all right. Now this is becoming one of our own personal conversations where we only find each other humorous and nobody else is laughing. So we apologize. We'll move on. But I definitely envision a room full of Joes right there. But anyway, all right. Let's move on. Let's talk about the games of the week before we get into this Patreon discussion. I'm going to bypass it because I think everybody's getting bored. So, wait. Uncle Steve has chimed in. Go ahead, Justin.
He says, "I really didn't think I had a chance to win before the spin. If he would have hit something bad for himself, was the only way I had a chance. So it was a good call, or so it's all good. So yeah, I mean, if
Okay.
you're that faithful and that you would have lost, then it was worth a shot for sure."
Yeah, shoot or shoot. Uncle Steve went for it, and he understood what was on the table. You know, he was going to live by the card or die by the card, and in this instance, not so good. Speaking of living by the card and dying by the card, my man Jesse Ronda didn't play his card this week. He had Vlad the Impaler or the Dracula card. He could have beat Campy. He thought he had won because there was a 99% chance that he'd win, so he didn't double check. So he never played the card. Campy ended up winning, and Campy ended up stealing a player from him. So he's a little bit upset. So there's Frankenstein is a job. Takes a lot of you need to pay attention to what's going on because there are a lot of moving parts. And hopefully the
Yeah,
moving parts are actually you. Go ahead.
I don't even want to really talk about this, but I've got to
Yeah.
mention it. Shane,
Yeah.
I played Shane this week. Boy, I tell you what, like, so I was favored to win by so much going into the week that our boy Shane actually benched all of his best players, which weren't that many because his team sucks, right? So he benched all of his best players in anticipation of him losing that badly to me. And then in the one of the very first plays of the game, Montgomery goes down. Khalil Herbert comes in, and Khalil Herbert cranks off 68 points in the Frankenstein League. So then he goes back in, adjusts his lineup a little bit because now he sees he has a shot, and then he ends up beating me by 14 points, like 13 and a half points, which really isn't that much at all in Frankenstein. Like that's the kind of luck I've had for the last 3 years. So I had a great team in week one. I had one of the week's top scores. One of the league's top scores, but I played a team that didn't have hardly crap to steal, so I didn't get a huge advantage like all the other winners. And then week two, I barely lost to in the same kind of situation, barely lost to a really good team. So they took my Cooper Cup. I was cool with that because it was a good team. Now I get a fluke injury that wipes me out because now I'm down Travis Kelce as well. My team is already shot. So at this point, I'm just trying to play spoiler.
Is it too early to say that the Shane Hallam, Justin Stevens rivalry is one of the biggest in Frankenstein?
I don't see how you could say that because it's a one-sided rivalry.
Yeah,
It's like,
this was the back and forth between you two over the card. He said he was playing mind games with you this offseason, and I think it carried over into this week,
yeah,
and I think it puts you in a bad position.
I'm the Generals here playing against the Globetrotters every week. So one of these days I'm going to cheat.
Yeah, you're gonna cheat. Well, Shane was playing I think you need to get into the lab, and I think next year when you're preparing to play Shane, I think you need to get a few steps ahead of him.
Oh, that's where I'm going to cheat. I'm going to make sure that I play him in week one.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going to cheat.
You're going to adjust the schedule. He's going to, all right. So we're going to adjust the schedule. We're going to make sure you play in week one. You give him your best. But here's the problem. You just put that out loud. Shane's a thinker. You just gave him ammunition. Now he's going to work with that. Now he's going to twist it. So you got to keep those close to the vest when you play Shane. He's too bright for that. All right, let's get into games of the week. Last week, all right. So this is a competition we do weekly. We do a running total. Whoever game of the week has the least points against is the winner. This week, Nino came on. Nino picked 49ers at Broncos last week. It was 10-11. So that was one. So he actually won. But of the two guys who are on here, Justin, you picked Pittsburgh at Cleveland. It was 17-29. That was a 12 points differential. I picked Packers at Buccaneers, which was 12-14, a 2 points differential. So I won. I get to pick what your name is this week, and you're the Cooper Rush in honor of my man
Cooper Rush.
Yeah. In honor of my man Cooper Rush. So the running total for the points difference, you're still win. Oh no, you're losing. You have 37. I have 35. So I kind of bounced back because first week I did good. Second week you kicked my butt. Third week I won. So we're going back and forth, but it's 37-35. So Justin, what's your game of the week this week, my man?
Well, first off, I just want to point out that I'm the one that did the show notes last week, and I took the lead. And then this week you did the show notes, and you took the lead. So I have a feeling that it's whoever's doing the math is the one that's going to have the lead.
Fair.
Fair. So I went with the Chiefs and the Buccaneers. That's the Sunday night football game. I can see a really pissed off Pat Mahomes coming off of a big loss to a lesser team in the Colts. I can see a really pissed off Tom Brady coming off a loss to, quite frankly, a better team in the Packers. But neither of these guys like to lose. Neither of these guys typically lose 2 games in a row. One of them is going to, and I think that that's going to turn into a hell of a lights-out football game. I do see the Chiefs pulling away with it. I don't think that Buccaneers team is as good as it has been in the past, and I don't think that Tom Brady's as good as he has been in the past. I think it's we're hopefully seeing the changing of the guards officially with this game. I don't think it's going to be very close, but I did still have it as my game of the week just because of all the other implications. I kind of threw the game out the window this time, our back and forth game, just because I want to see this game so badly. I want to see Tom Brady fail so badly. So that's my game of the week. All right. So we have 2 Coach Sheps. Oh, there we go. So I don't know if you heard it, but I said that the reason that's my game of the week is because I want to see Tom Brady fail so badly. I don't care about the points with our game against you and me. I just really want to see Tom Brady fail. So
All right. Well, and I think that game's going to be juicy too. My game of the week is Dolphins at Bengals Thursday night, which is how great is it that the Thursday night matchups are actually enticing? Like this game, we got Jamar Chase, we got Jalen Waddle, we got Joe Burrow, we got Tyreek Hill. Like there's so much star power. We got Tua Tagovailoa, who's like a lightning rod for discussion right now. I think this game, there's going to be a lot of points. And like I said earlier, I beat the drum for Jalen Waddle this offseason. He's wide receiver 2 right now in fantasy football. I think he has the second most receiving yards this season. I think he's like 14 behind Stephon Diggs or 4, one of those numbers up. Hello. So that's probably my daughter. So that my wife, she'd probably capitalize the hello.
I was gonna say, bro, if both of our wives are in the chat, we're in trouble.
Yeah, that's definitely my daughter. Hello to you too, baby. So I think Jalen Waddle, man, it's for real. He's a stud. So I'm looking forward to seeing him against the Bengals, and I think Joe Burrow is going to bounce back. He's due. So that's it for my game of the week. I do want to mention our Patreon, patreon.com/toilets to titles. We got 5 tiers. $3 gets you into our Discord team chat. I think we added like 4 Patreon members last week, so we appreciate all of you. And we're talking to people kind of daily where this thing's growing. $5 gets you early access. Well, not just early access, it gets you access to our waiver wire episodes. It only goes to you. We just call it early because we record it Monday night after Monday Night Football. It goes out to you first thing Tuesday morning. Everybody at the Toilets Titles team, we work together on a doc. We throw names in there. We throw percentages in there. Oh, it's Emmett. What's up, Emmett? Nice to see you. He's fired up about the Cowboys game, man. Big game. And a lot of guys were talking junk, Emmett, and it's all right. We don't have to talk. We can just enjoy the win. But anyway, we do that. That waiver wire episode's huge, okay? Also, tier 2 gets you invited to Frankenstein, and I'm still doing a deal. Sign up for the first month, $5. I will reimburse you. I will Venmo you $5. And then if you don't like it after the first month, dip. And you just got all that access for free. $7.50 as tier 3 gets you one-on-one draft advice, DFS advice in the chat. $10 gets you free entry to Frankenstein. And again, all these tiers get you everything below them as well. And then the $20, that's the tier for you, man. One-on-one roster analysis all season. We'll do a 30-minute episode breaking down one of your leagues and all the cool stuff. So interact with us. Join our Patreon. We hope to see you there and support the show. All right. Betting locks of the week. This week, Jacksonville Jaguars +7 at Philadelphia. And that was the line this morning. So it might have shifted. All right. But, I'm looking at Vegas odds. Jacksonville Jaguars +7 at Philadelphia Eagles. This is a revenge game for head coach Doug Peterson. When I wrote this up, I put this as a revenger game. So not the Avengers. So Doug Peterson is not, in fact, an Avenger. He's a revenger. Okay, so this is a revenger game for head coach Doug Peterson. And the Jaguars are coming in hot. They smashed the Chargers, smashed them. Like, I cannot believe that they beat them as bad as they did. Like, that's embarrassing. 28 points. Like the Chargers. The Chargers were a team that I thought might go to the Super Bowl this year. They made those moves. They brought in Khalil Mack, and the Jaguars just undressed them. All right. And then the week prior, they beat your Colts by 24 points. So the Jaguars, they're not slouches. Like they can play. And what I like is I dogged them for going after Christian Kirk because I thought it was the only guy that would actually go there. Dude, he's playing well. Marvin Jones is playing well. Zay Jones is playing well. Like Trevor Lawrence, he might not have an elite wide receiver, but he has a bunch of good wide receivers, and he's getting them the football. I do think Philly's going to win this game. I think Philly's the better team, and Philly looks good, man. Their offense is phenomenal. Their defense is good. And Darius Slay, he's good. Fletcher Cox is playing good. They got Jordan Davis next to him in IDP leagues. Fletcher Cox is putting up points he put up 2 or 3 years ago. Like, I thought he wouldn't be able to produce like this anymore. I think he's got a sack a week. Jordan Davis is opening that up for him. So I think Philly will win, but I don't think they're going to just run away with it. I don't think it's going to be by a touchdown. I think it'll be by 4 or 5 points. So give me the Jaguars +7. And then Kansas City Chiefs -3 at Tampa Bay. So you discussed this earlier, Justin. So I don't really have to talk about it too much. Both teams are coming off tough losses, but I think the Chiefs are just a better team right now. Honestly, I think that Bucs defense is phenomenal, but the offense is atrocious. I think the Chiefs defense will do what it takes. to get after Tom Brady. And I think they're going to score points. I don't think they're going to be able to keep Patrick Mahomes down. This is a rematch. This is a Super Bowl rematch. So you can't tell me that Patrick Mahomes doesn't have this thing circled. And there's going to be a difference here. There's going to be a difference in philosophy. Tom Brady is playing to make the playoffs. Like, he's not concerned about one game. He's concerned about the big picture. So I don't think he's going to be super distraught if they don't win this game, because he just needs to win the division. On the other hand, Patrick Mahomes, I think he's had this thing circled, and he's been looking forward to this all off season. This is an opportunity for him to get back at the Buccaneers, and I think this game means a lot more to him than it does to Tom Brady at this juncture.
Yeah, and I also think that offensive line for Tampa Bay never really has recovered from their injuries in the preseason. So it's kind of like in the Super Bowl that we saw, that offensive line for the Chiefs was just crap, and Mahomes didn't have a whole lot that he could do with that. And I think that role is also going to be reversed this week as well. So
it's interesting. All right, Justin, what about these Turtleheads you got for us this week?
Yeah, so I've got a couple Turtleheads here that I've been holding them back. I've been wanting to break out these Turtleheads for some time now.
Stop it.
But I've chosen to hold them back. And also, guys, if you didn't watch last week's Turtleheads, this entire segment right here with Nino not understanding what a turtlehead was absolutely phenomenal.
I listened; it was good.
But we all know what a turtlehead is, and it's guys that are about to break out, and these guys are both injured players that are about to come off of injuries. You believe it or not, Brian Robinson was a free agent in a league last week. I swooped him up. And I even noticed in a redraft league that Michael Gallup was a free agent in a league 2 weeks ago, and I left him out there. I still haven't checked. I need to go back and double check. But if he's a free agent now, I'm going to go swoop him up this week. But neither one of them were started off the season on the PUP list, Brian Robinson and Michael Gallup. So both of them could potentially return before week 6. And I don't feel like most teams are going to be willing to do that unless they intend on bringing them back before week 6. Here we are in week 4 now. So the Cowboys could probably really use that other playmaker on the other side, especially one that's not going to drop a wide open 60-yard bomb. But it is what it is. That was a beautiful throw by yours truly, Cooper Rush. But Brian Robinson of the Commanders, after being a shooting victim this preseason, is probably still a better option than Antonio Gibson. He hasn't done anything to really solidify that starting position that he had already lost to Antonio Gibson before he had that incident. So both of those guys could immediately come into big roles right out the gate. I would probably sit them on my bench the first week back, depending on who they're playing and your situation. Again, patreon.com/toyless-titles if you need that instant information, that instant opinion on our part. We'll help you out. We'll give you that advice. But we'll probably sit them their first week back from injury and see what goes down. But we're probably starting them the second week. So by week 6, most likely they're going to be constant starters in your lineup.
I love it, man. I'm excited for Michael Gallup to come back. I do think that with Schultz hurt, and the way Cooper Rush is throwing the ball around, maybe it's a little bit to do with Kellen Moore. Maybe Kellen Moore, I don't know, maybe he's getting into a groove with play calling, and maybe they struggled with that week 1. When Dak comes back, hopefully that groove continues with the play calling. They keep calling the good schemes, getting their wide receivers open, because I do think we could use a third option. Noah Brown looks good. Like Noah Brown, I'm not like he's not elite, but he's good. He's playing well, and he does the dirty work. Like, the dude blocks too. He's a great blocker. That's what they used to only put him on the field just to block. Like, you knew they were running because they put him on the field. Now go ahead.
I was just going to say real quick, Tua Tagovailoa did get in a limited practice today, so it looks like he's probably going to be good to go for Thursday night. Interesting.
Man, that was that was not good looking at all. That was very scary.
It's still not definite, but if he's already getting in a limited practice, possible.
Yep. All right, I'm going to move on to dudes and duds for the week. All right, so my dudes. So you guys can go to toiletstitles.com tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning. My dudes and duds are on there every week. I just read through them on the show for all of you that like to get your information, audio or video, rather than reading it. Because who wants to read anyway, right? But those of you that do want to read, go to toiletsandtitles.com.
Yeah, you crazies.
Yeah. Dudes, Joe Burrow at the Miami Dolphins. This is back-to-back weeks. I usually don't do this. It's back-to-back weeks with Burrow as a dude. Burrow had his first 3 passing touchdown outing of the season, and he'll be ready to follow that up with another big performance. This will be a high-scoring affair, I imagine, with plenty of fireworks. Like, I love the Bengals uniforms. The Bengals uniforms are hot. Score is going to be hot. Like, things are going to be rolling. It's going to be an explosive matchup. Fireworks. Start Burrow. Do not be afraid. He'll get it done. Next, Aaron Rodgers versus the New England Patriots. I started Rodgers last week over Russell Wilson, which ended up being a good choice because probably you could have started anybody over Russell Wilson and it would have worked out. But I think Rodgers is getting it, man. I think he's starting to get into a groove with his wide receivers. Doesn't seem to matter who he has. He's going to find a way to get it done. Romeo Doubs is becoming that number one. Alan Lazard is healthy. Christian Watson, he should be coming back. I think he's starting to get some weapons, but as these weapons are coming in, he's developing because the lack of weapons, it's forced him to develop chemistry with Doubs, and that's huge. And then, Watson's going to get sprinkled in, and I just think he's got his guys. He's going to have a few more weapons, and Rodgers, dude, he throws some balls that it's just incredible. It's incredible the ball placement he has. So he gets it done. Rodgers finishes QB 11 this week. He'll face a much weaker opponent with more weapons. So if he finished QB 11 last week against the Bucs defense, which is phenomenal, this week can only get better. I expect him to finish top 5 quarterbacks this week. Dameon Pierce versus the LA Chargers. The fantasy football community has been waiting patiently for the Pierce breakout. It came in week 3. All right, Pierce totaled 20 carries, 80 yards, 1 rushing touchdown, and he topped it off with 2 receptions for 21 yards. This week, Pierce will face a Chargers defense that's giving up an average of 19 points a week to opposing running backs, which is not very good. All right, so next I got Rashad Penny at the Detroit Lions. Penny seems to have a firm grip on that running back 1 role right now in Seattle. Kenneth Walker, he's kind of looming in the shadows right now. I think he'll eventually take over. But right now, it's Penny. Over the last 3 weeks, he's faced the top 10 rushing defense. So week 1, week 2, week 3, all top 10 rushing defense. This week, he'll face a Lions defense that is giving up the 2nd most fantasy points to running backs all season. So it's time for him to eat. Start him up. Next, Coop. Not Cooper Rush, Amari Cooper. The other great Cooper. He's playing against the Atlanta Falcons. Through 3 weeks, Amari Cooper is the 11th highest scoring wide receiver in fantasy football. He is coming off back-to-back 101-yard performances. He'll be facing a Falcons defense that just allowed Geno Smith to throw for 325 yards. All right, so I'm not saying Jacoby Brissett is too much higher than Geno Smith, but if Geno can do it, Jacoby can do it. And Amari can get it done because Amari, he is just this dude. All he does is get open. Next, Gabriel Davis at the Baltimore Ravens. No one, absolutely no defense, has allowed more fantasy points to opposing wide receivers than the Baltimore Ravens. This will be another high-scoring affair for the Bills, and there will be plenty of opportunities for Gabe to cash in on a big play. Josh Allen threw the ball 63 times last week. 63 times. That's absurd. I think Gabriel Davis only had 4 receptions. This week, don't expect that. All right. I think he's going to have 6 to 8, but all it takes is 1 or 2 home runs for this guy, and he's going to put some big numbers in the stat line. Next, so this might be absurd. This might be crazy. I got 2 Cleveland Browns on my dudes this week. I got David Njoku at the Atlanta Falcons. Mr. Njoku burst out onto the fantasy football scene in week 3. Hauled in 9 receptions for 89 yards and a touchdown. Again, it feels crazy starting anybody but Nick Chubb, but I'm doing it. All right, I feel good about their passing attack. Brissett has developed a connection with Njoku, and he will continue to target him against the weak Falcons secondary. Finally, my flex dude for the week is Greg Dortch. The Carolina Panthers. It took me about 2 full games to buy into the Greg Dortch legitimacy. He is legitimate. He's not going away, at least not until DeAndre Hopkins comes back. He has seen 23 targets through 3 games and is coming off his best performance of the season where he had 9 receptions for 80 yards. I think Ertz and Hollywood will draw that attention, and that's going to leave. And then they're also going to have to come up, spy Kyler Murray. So all this attention is going everywhere else, and that's opening things up for Dortch. So I like him this week in the flex role. Finally, my duds. I got Matthew Stafford at the San Francisco 49ers. Stafford is struggling right now, and he'll be heading to San Francisco to face a division opponent who'll be fired up to shut him down. The 49ers have only allowed 502 passing yards this season. Stafford's going to have a hard time. Shut him down. Next, the Derek Carr versus the Denver Broncos. The Raiders are 0-3. The Raiders are in trouble. The Broncos have played a few sloppy games, but their defense is the only bright thing they have. And that defense is going to be shutting down the Las Vegas Raiders. And I just don't feel comfortable at all with that offense. Next, I got Clyde Edwards-Helaire at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers have been lights out against the run, and this won't be the week they falter. Clyde Edwards-Helaire didn't look that well last week, but his performance was saved by a touchdown. I think he was like one touchdown, not many yards, but he had 5 receptions for 39 yards. So the PPR points kind of helped him out as well. So it was startable. But he's not going to be saved by a touchdown this week. He's not going to be saved by receptions. Devin White, sideline to sideline. They're going to be shutting down Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Next, my other running back. So I'm starting 2 Browns this week as my dudes, and I'm sitting 2 Raiders as my duds. Josh Jacobs versus the Denver Broncos. Just like the Buccaneers, the Denver Broncos have been pretty damn good against the run through 3 weeks. Jacobs has yet to top 100 total yards this season and has not once scored a touchdown. Broncos will contain him. They'll shut him down. Christian Kirk, who I talked up earlier, he's a dud for me this week. He's at the Philadelphia Eagles. Jaguars' offense has been very impressive, and Kirk has been a huge part of this success. This week, he'll be seeing some of Darius Slay when he's lined up outside. Some of my guy, CGJ, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. That's a mouthful. When he's lined up in the slot, he'll see CGJ. Both defenders should continue to play well, and they'll keep Kirk bottled up. My next wide receiver is Terry McLaurin at the Dallas Cowboys. In 2021, Trayvon Diggs and Terry McLaurin met twice. Terry McLaurin totaled 3 receptions for 40 yards. Okay?
Did you say 4?
40.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. I couldn't do 3 receptions for 40 yards. And I don't know if you guys are tracking Trayvon Diggs. He held Jamar Chase. You know, the Giants don't really count because they don't really have a receiving option. But go look at what Trayvon Diggs did the first 2 weeks of the season.
No offense.
Evans, Godwin, Jamar Chase. Like the narrative is that but then the narrative was he gave up 1,000 yards last year. But then last night on Monday Night Football, they're saying he gave up 795 yards. So they don't even know how many yards this guy's given up. But I do know he's playing well. He locked down Terry McLaurin last year. He's going to lock him down again. Tight end Tyler Higbee at the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers have absolutely wiped opposing tight ends out of the game. And in 3 games, I think they've only given up 5 receptions to tight ends. So it's not a recipe for success to Tyler Higbee. So shut him down. And then finally, this one hurts me. DJ Moore versus the Arizona Cardinals. I got him in a few leagues as like my wide receiver 3, and I thought I was cooking with gasoline. It's like, man, I'm going to get to put DJ Moore as my flex weekly. It's going to be huge. It's not huge. It's been a huge disappointment. That's what it's been. The dude is playing awful. So, I hope I'm wrong. I hope he finally puts it together. But he saw 6 targets last week, only caught 1 of them. It's bad.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. He's my wide receiver 2 in 2 leagues.
Just not good.
Because I always go so running back heavy. As a matter of fact, I've got a new little segment I'm going to surprise you with here.
Shoot.
I don't know if you can see this very well or not, but I have an issue and since tonight's waiver night, this is a work league. Okay. So keep that in mind when you're considering this, but I always go running back heavy, just like we just talked about. I just realized tonight, for one, I really want Romeo Dubs, and for
well, Justin just cut out there, and
Dubs plays Washington.
Okay.
But look at all these running backs. Okay. I've got Eckler, Saquon, Zeke Elliott. I've got A.J. Dillon, Melvin Gordon, Jeff Wilson Jr., Darrell Henderson Jr., and Brian Robinson about to come off of IR. So I'm in great shape. You would think that this team would be better than it has been performing, but I really want Romeo Dubs, and I've been trying my best to trade, but it's a work league. Like half the people aren't even setting their lineup. I'm going to have to drop somebody. I'm pretty confident I'm going to have to drop Darrell Henderson to get Dubs. But then when Brian Robinson comes back from being out and I have to take him out of my IR spot, what do I do? Do I drop Marvin Jones? Do I drop Melvin Gordon?
When do you think he'll come out?
I have a strong feeling it's probably going to be week 5 at the latest. He might.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it till next week.
But they're saying he might even come back this week, though.
If he doesn't, don't worry about it because
Yeah.
injuries happen. I don't want to cast that shadow on your
Yeah.
team, but don't count your eggs before they hatch.
That's
You
what I've been
know,
waiting on, though.
I
I've
would,
been waiting on this injury, and it's not happening.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So
I would
we're in
say,
agreement.
I would say, drop Henderson, get Dubs for sure.
All right. All right. Of course, I have to.
Dubs, man. I think he's a few weeks away from, I think, being a consistent wide receiver too in fantasy football.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not even positive I'm going to be able to get him off of waivers, but since it is a work league and half of them don't even set their lineups, maybe they're not noticing.
Yeah, yeah, and nobody will trade. All right. So that was your segment, Justin's work league.
That's it. My segment is Justin needs advice.
All right, Justin needs advice. Justin's work league. Tune in weekly at the 45-minute mark. Justin's work league. All right, the DFS lineup for the week. DraftKings.com is what I use. My quarterback, I got Jacoby Brissett. I talked up the Browns, so might as well put him in there. At Atlanta, 5,500. I got Austin Eckler at Houston for 7,700. Dameon Pierce versus the LA Chargers for 5,600. Jamar Chase versus Miami for 8,000. Jalen Waddle at Cincinnati for 7,100. So I got both the huge wide receivers in the matchup. And then Greg Dortch, my wide receiver 3 at Carolina for 5,000. David Njoku, so I'm stacking Brissett with him at Atlanta for 3,700. Jahan Dotson at Dallas. I think McLaurin's going to be shut down. I think Dotson will be able to work 4,300. And finally, 49ers versus Los Angeles Rams for 3,000. So, Justin, let's move on to slow your roll or you're all in.
Yeah, so slow your roll or you're all in. I have a bunch of buttons to hit here. All right, so I'm going to slow my roll on the AFC West. And I had a little bit of fun with this one because we all thought that division was going to be the division. And we thought that there were going to be 3 teams out of that division that made the playoffs. And it was going to be these high-flying, high-scoring games, and the defenses were going to be just good enough. But upon further review, the division is no good. And the results of the lie detector have stated that the AFC West, you are not the big daddies. I'm really slowing back on this division, even for fantasy football purposes. So many of these guys that we thought were going to be huge in that division have really started to take a back seat and are maybe even being benched in some leagues. So I'm not as excited about watching their games anymore.
Man, I thought Renfro was going to have a monster year. And I know he was banged up, but for my Scott Fishbowl roster, I could really use him as a wide receiver 3. I got Dubs, though. And like I said, Dubs is stepping up. I got Waddle. I bought into Tony. Tony, the Giants aren't even letting him see the field. When I don't want to make this a Cowboys-Giants show, but when I watched their report on who was active and who was inactive, and I saw that Tony was inactive, I was so happy. Because besides Saquon Barkley, he's the only dude who scares me on that roster. But you're right, man. The AFC West, like Russell Wilson, terrible. Dude's looking terrible. Mike Williams had that monster game, and then he's pretty much been absent besides that. Austin Eckler hasn't looked good. Yeah, not very good. So I'm with you. I'm not slowing my roll. I'm all in. And I'm all in on George Pickens. Throw this dude the ball. Throw George Pickens the football. Target this guy 10 times a game. He is absolutely phenomenal. His catch radius is absurd. You just put it anywhere in his vicinity, he's going to go up and get it. When I watched the Steelers last week, Deontay Johnson's good. He's really damn good. He works really well in the middle of the field, and they're even using him on like back shoulder stuff and stuff you'd see like bigger receivers doing, like jump balls and stuff. Well, guess what? You got Chase Claypool, and then you got George Pickens, who's better than Chase Claypool. Throw those jump balls to him because he is going to go up and he's not going to drop them. He's going to come down with them, and then after he comes down with them, if there's somebody in his way, he is going to try to run through their face. Okay, for your team, Pittsburgh. It'll make you better giving him the ball. And for us, the fans, it's going to give us more entertainment and excitement because this dude is a highlight reel waiting to happen.
And if you're Pittsburgh with that defense, with the injuries and everything, like you're going to need to throw the ball anyway. And I don't want to make this comparison this early because the guy I'm comparing him to is a Hall of Famer and one of my absolute favorites of all time. But it reminds me of Randy Moss. Just the way that he can catch anything. Like, I know he doesn't quite have the speed, but even still, he's still pretty damn quick. I absolutely loved Randy Moss. I agree with you 100% on this one.
Or
I
even Brandon Marshall.
yeah,
Like Brandon Marshall, when he was with the Broncos early on in his career,
yeah,
he had that edge. He had an edge. He had an attitude, and this guy's got a little bit of an attitude. And
a little tougher. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So I
Yeah, Randy
think,
Moss definitely didn't have the toughness. That's for sure. He's the guy that took plays off.
but he didn't really need to. We can't knock Randy Moss. Randy Moss, like he knew there was nobody touching him.
I know I've said this story before, but I once paid, I think it was like $360, which back then was huge money for Monday Night Football tickets back in the early 2000s to see him on Monday night when the Vikings came in and played the Colts, and he tweaked his hamstring in warmups, and I didn't even get to see him play. It
Jesus.
happened in the back of the end zone right in front of me too. I saw him tweak his hamstring. I was so brokenhearted.
Man, that's devastating. I'm so sad to
Yeah.
hear that.
Yeah, we need to get that story out to Randy Moss somehow because I
Yeah.
feel like he owes me an autograph or something.
Yeah. How old were you?
I was like probably 20, give or
So
take.
maybe if Randy Moss hears this, we could try to reenact that day somehow. You can get like clothes that you would have wore when you were 20, and he could suit up, and
It would have
we
been a
could just
Peyton Manning
reenact
jersey.
that day. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure I was wearing my Peyton Manning jersey.
Yeah, man, I had a Randy Moss jersey in middle school. And this is a stupid story, but I'm just gonna go with it. I used to wear jerseys for picture day. That was like my thing. I didn't get dressed up. I wore jerseys.
Nice.
One year was Cordell Stewart. One year was Randy Moss. Deion Sanders was a few times. Emmett Smith, But I had these windbreaker pants that were yellow, bright yellow. And they went with my purple Vikings jersey. And I thought it was the coolest thing.
Oh
And
yeah, you were
now, like,
smiling.
yeah, who wears yellow windbreaker pants? Like, who lets their kid out of the house with that outfit on? Mom?
Now we've gone full circle. It's all about your mommy issues.
Yeah, mom. How dare you let me out of the house with those yellow windbreaker pants on? And if anybody has a picture of that day, get rid of it. I don't want any evidence. All right, let's move on.
No,
Let's
don't
move
get
on.
rid of it. Just send it to me. That's at JustinFF_.
Yeah. All right. This time next week, let's talk about last week's predictions. Should we? So Nino said that Garrett Wilson would have a Jamar Chase type week. I don't think he did.
Nah.
No.
I mean,
what was your prediction?
So, so my prediction was based off of the track record of Frank Reich, not running the football. And this week he ran the football, so I was wrong. But my prediction last week, and I was sitting there, it was hilarious. I was watching the game, and even before the game, I was telling my son and my wife about how Colts are going to lose this one. I'm okay with it. I already know going into it they're going to lose. I just want to see them run the football. I just want to see them not give up running the football when they have the lead when they get behind early. And they did get behind at one point early, and they kept running the football. And I kept saying, right here, you got to run the football, and they would run the football. And then they ran the football. And then I said, okay, now it's time for play action. And they did a play action. It's like they did every single thing that I tell them to do every single week. This time they actually did it, and they won. So lo and behold, we have discovered that I should be the Indianapolis Colts coach. But last week I said that we were going to say that Frank Reich was on the hot bench or the hot seat for not running the damn football. But I'm glad I was wrong. And Nino threw in there that he thought that Matt Rule would end up being on the hot seat after this past week. So one of us were a little bit closer than the other.
Man,
Don't see Frank Reich.
I think you should send your resume to the Colts, at least offensive assistant.
I have because back in the day, way back in the day, it was even before Caldwell. I believe it was back when Jim Mora was no longer the Colts coach. I had heard that if you apply for any position in the NFL, that the team owner has to send you, like it was like a deal that they had, like something they had to do back then. They'd have to send you a letter to explain to you why you didn't get the position, and it was signed by the owner at the bottom. And I wanted a Jim Irsay autograph. So I applied to be the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. And lo and behold, they did send me that letter. I've got it somewhere around here, but Jim Irsay did sign it at the bottom as well. So I've got another Jim Irsay autograph that means more to me now that's right here next to me. But yeah, I've got that one upstairs somewhere in the storage. So yeah,
Man,
neat little story.
Did he let you down slowly?
I mean, it was just your very basic, like, we're looking at other positions or in other directions or whatever. Just a very basic, like the company made. Yeah. No, you suck. Let's move on.
That's funny, man. That's
but this week's prediction.
Yeah,
for me, this week's prediction is that for the first time in NFL history, after just 4 weeks of the NFL, we are already going to have 0 teams across the board that are either winless or undefeated. This means that the Bengals will have to beat the Dolphins. The Texans would have to beat the Chargers. The Jaguars would have to beat the Eagles. And the Raiders would have to beat the Broncos, which, in my opinion, will be one hell of a parlay. So if you're a gambler and you're out there and you want to place a little bit of money on that, you can send a percentage of the proceeds to me. Again, just DM me at JustinFF_, and we'll work out my percentage later. But that would be one hell of a parlay. But I decided I wanted to go big or go home this time. I wanted a nice big prediction where if I'm right, it's going to blow you out of the water. And if I'm wrong every week anyway. So what does it matter?
Man, that was really thought out.
Yeah. Not bad for
like some research.
That being the last, not bad for that being the last segment that I had to fill out literally 2 minutes before we were going live.
Yeah, very, very impressive. Very impressive. My prediction last week was that, I mean, it kind of was a cop out, but I mean, it was, we are starting to get a grip on who's who and what's what in the 2022 NFL. And I think that's true. I think we kind of know that the Bills are a little banged up. They're a good football team, but they're having trouble. And the Dolphins, exciting offense, and the Eagles, I think they're legit. And the Giants aren't as. Go ahead.
That since the Colts beat the Chiefs, that means that the Texans and the Jaguars are better than the Chiefs.
Yes, and we're gonna find that out. So we have some more finding out to do, but that seems about right. All right. My prediction this week, what we're gonna say this time next week, is Tom Brady needs to hang him up. This Bucs team is barely hanging on, and if Tom wants to keep getting beat up, he'll stay out there. But I don't think it's safe. I don't think if he doesn't, I mean, he's clearly not going to hang them up during the season. It's not going to happen. But we could still say he needs to. All right, because what's going to end up happening is he's not going to be leaving the field on his own power. He's going to be taken off the field because this dude's getting smashed. That offensive line is terrible. And Justin, he's got an image of what could possibly happen. We just need Campy, our graphics guy, to change the uniform on there.
Yeah. Well, this is my background for TGIF. This guy is fragile. So it's my set built-in background. So yeah, if Campy wants to change the uniform, that's fine. I don't really care. As long as it says Brady and 12 on there, I'm cool with it. But yeah, this was actually the first time I ever won a Super Bowl in my main redraft league. Was the year that I took, because back then, late round quarterback wasn't a thing. And I took Tom Brady in the first round of the season that he went down in the first quarter of the first game. And I came back and won the Super Bowl with Matt Castle and a couple other backups that I rotated in. That's when I realized, even way before late round quarterback was a thing, that late round quarterback was really a thing. So I've been playing it ever since.
So thanks, Tom Brady.
I will never say that.
But I mean, essentially, you said it without saying it. All right. Hey, that wraps it up, everybody, for our week 4 episode. We appreciate you being here. Make sure to tune in to all our other shows. Make sure to check out our Patreon so we can see you in the Discord chat, so you can get our waiver wire episodes, so you could play in the Frankenstein League next year. It's patreon.com/toilets titles. And if you're going to listen to any show this week, make sure you're at least here for the Blitz Sunday. Because that show is, all of this we do this for you. Because if it wasn't for you listening at home, we'd just be talking to each other, and we can do that over the phone. But we're talking to you, all right? But if you're in the Blitz, you can be in the comments. You can ask all your start-sit questions, and we'll answer them on the fly, just like we would do in the Discord chat. But not all of you are there. But we do hope to see you all there. So, Justin, do you have anything to leave our listeners with before we head out?
No, enjoy week 4 football. I'm excited. Let's get it done.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. So good luck this week. We'll see you all later on. And hopefully we keep bumping up those SFB 12 numbers.